Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 21 video where today I'm going to be sharing with you my super overpowered 4-2-2 custom tactics. Now this 4-2-2 is arguably my favorite formation in FIFA. I've been using it since the beta. I've just got so used to using it. I know this formation inside and out, and that's really important with formations, that you don't like chop and change too much, because you need to really get to know a formation, and that's how you can get the best out of it. And for me, the 4-2-2 is the formation that I perform the best in. I think that's just because I know it so well. So I'm going to be sharing with you my 4-2-2 custom tactics. I've actually got it on the ultra attacking setting. Not that really makes any difference, but the defensive style I've got on balance. Now I play balance because at the start of the FIFA I used to play a lot of press on heavy touch, press after possession loss. It's just not really effective for me, and the way that I like to play. I'm not the best at kind of manually pressing. It's probably a weak area of my game. So I don't want you got to play to your strengths, and my strengths are not in the pressing game. So I don't want to go into the pressing game. And what I dislike about obviously the press is it kind of, even if you have other players in your team, fullbacks, CDMs, whoever it may be, if they're on stay back while attacking, the press after possession loss, for example, will override your instructions, so it will ignore them. So you might think, I've got my CDM on stay back and he keeps, getting up high up the pitch, and that's because if you play on a press, they're going to ignore your instructions. So I like to play on balance. I like to just keep that compact team shape, so we're difficult to break down, but not like super defensive, as you can see, because our depth is on 7th. Now I've recently was playing on about 4 or 5 depth. I was struggling with the new patch, as you maybe know in a previous video that we mentioned. I was playing on a bit of a lower depth. I was playing sort of 4 or 5, and I was struggling because I wasn't used to the new patch. I kind of was just trying to figure out what was going on with the patch. I was struggling, so I went to a lower depth, but now playing good. And I recommend playing on a higher depth if you're like confident that you can score and you don't really mind too much about conceding or giving up space. For me, I use these tactics if I'm trying to get 5 goals in rivals to get maximum points that I can, or if I'm just playing to 14 wins in champs. I don't mind giving up a little bit of space and making it a little bit difficult defensively, because I just want to have fun. I want to play on the front foot. I want to play aggressive, and I find that 7 depth works. I think if you play like really low depth, you'll find that you'll get countered anyway, whether you play on the low depth or a high depth. So you may as well play on a high depth, try and win the ball higher up the pitch and give yourself some more attacking opportunities. That's what works best for me personally. In terms of offensive style, we go with the long ball as always. It's just, for me, I've been a huge fan of the long ball for years and years and years. I just think it works so well, and just is really tricky to play against. I think it's always difficult when you've got players running in behind, when you've it's hard for your opponent to defend, even if they're on really low depth. Having players that can stretch the team can also create space in front of that back 4 or back 5 or whatever you're playing against, can make it difficult for your opponents to defend. So having players running in behind is super important. Offensive width, I've gone for around about 4. This is mainly due to get the wide cams a little bit narrower. I know they're on free roam, as you'll see in our instructions. We have the wide cams on free roam, so they'll drift around anyway, but I just want them to have a slightly narrow starting position, because sometimes people will complain that maybe they don't get those wide attacking midfielders involved in the play enough. And this is the best way to do it, having a little bit slightly narrow. You still want to have width, you don't want to go super narrow, because then it just makes it really, really difficult, and just everybody's on top of each other, everyone's on each other's toes, can make it really difficult for you to get out. Players in the box, we have kind of around 5 or 6, doesn't really matter too much. It's just, it's not a big deal. And then corners, I flicker between the corners. Sometimes I play on 3, sometimes I play on 1. It's kind of a bit like the depth. I find that I get countered whether I have 3 corners or 1 corner. I think you get countered anyway. So you could argue that you may as well just play them on 5, and it just gives you a better opportunity. Because like I said, even if you have them on 1, you still seem to get countered and concede from your own corner anyway, whether you have them on 1 or 5. So that's kind of just personal preference. It doesn't really matter. It's just whatever you want, really. In terms of the instructions, we have got Allison just on balanced. Doesn't really matter. As I said in previous video, your goalkeepers in FIFA are pretty useless anyway. They don't really do too much for you. They don't really make a big difference. So I've just kind of left them on balance. Kind of gone away from playing. I used to play with them on sweeper keeper, but even when you got them on sweeper keeper, they never really come out of the box and try and clear anything. You typically have to go and do it yourself anyway. So It doesn't really matter with the goalkeeper. In terms of the fullbacks, Davies and Trent Alexander-Arnold, got them both on balance. I just want to, like I said previously, my aim is to try and score as many goals as I can whether I'm playing rivals or in friendlies or in squad battles or when I'm playing champs, trying to get to 14 wins as quick as possible. So I want to have fun, just want to have fun with it. If I'm going to be playing a limited amount of games, I may as well have fun and just try and enjoy it. So I send my fullbacks forward. Still want them, attacking, and still from time to time we do concede some counters, but as I mentioned with the corners or the depth, I think whether you play on a low depth or if you have these guys on stay back while attacking, you're probably going to concede from counter attacks anyway. Your opponent will still slide those through balls in between your centre back and your full back, and they're getting anyway, even when you do have them on stay back. So I may as well just have them going forwards and just offer me a little bit of attacking threat if I'm going to get countered and concede that way anyway. Seedorf and Kimmich, we do have these guys on stay back because I don't want to go. Whilst we want to be attacking and we want to be on the front foot, we don't want to be gung-ho. We don't want to be too over the top and conceding and making our teams too open and making it too easy for our opponent, because then before you know it, you could be 2-3 goals down really quick in a game if you just send everybody forward and go the opposite way. So we still want to have good shape, and what typically tends to happen when Davies and Trent go forward, Boateng and Van Dijk will split, Seedorf and Kimmich drop in, and it kind of is still like you've got 4 defenders anyway, so it's not a huge deal. So I don't mind having those guys doing that. In terms of Torres and Dybala, as we said, they are both on free roam. They both are going to drift around and make it difficult for your opponent to kind of pick them up, because they kind of have that starting position where the midfielders don't really pick them up, but the fullbacks and defenders don't really pick them up. So when they get the ball, they're kind of the key in this formation, those wide cams, because they're not really truly marked by anybody. So they're always kind of the free player, and they're the ones where your opponent has to drag a midfielder across or a fullback out or a centre back out to try and close them down. And then when they drag that player out of position, that's when you need to then be able to step it up and exploit that space that's just been created for you. So those two do a really good job in there. Torres is maybe not the best player to have for myself as a wide cam. He probably would be better suited to using him up front. But we have Rooney up front and Cruyff. Now, Rooney starting off, he is in a false 9 position. Now, that doesn't mean that he drops in and becomes like a cam. So then you could see how this formation can become like a 4-2-3-1. He drops in and kind of becomes a centre forward. It's just to really help linking up with when one of the cams or one of the midfielders steps forward. It's just helping linking the attack from the midfield rather than having them both on. If they're both on getting behind, they might both be making runs in behind at the same time. Kimmich might be stepping forward, and if he sees Cruyff and Rooney running in behind, I haven't got anyone to pass the ball to. So it's just every now and again, like I said before, have one coming short, one going in behind. Just can make it really difficult for your opponent, because then they're not going to know if you're just going to pass it in short, if you're going to play a ball in behind. Just makes it more difficult for your opponent to read what you're going to do. And as you said, Cruyff is on getting behind. Cruyff is my goal scorer. He's a little bit quicker than Rooney. Obviously, I think a better finisher than Rooney, and will just be the more clinical of the strikers. So you always want to have your most clinical striker, your quickest striker on getting behind, and your striker that has got the best passing and kind of the best link-up play to be the one that plays on false 9 if you want to play with these instructions. But these are my 4-2-2 instructions. They are mental good. They're the formation, the tactics and instructions I always fall back on whenever I need to kind of get back into a game, or from any position from the start of a game. If I'm 2-0 down, I switch into these, like these formations, these tactics. They are just they're just mental good. I haven't played with anything else that really comes close to being as consistently good as these tactics. So make sure you do try them out. If you do enjoy them, make sure you let me know in the comment section. Make sure you join our Discord down below if you have any any reason to want to get better at FIFA. Make sure you join that down below. Make sure you subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.